the heart of a small, forgotten town, nestled between misty hills and endless groves of skeletal trees, there was a clockmaker named Elias Wren. His shop, the Timeless Whisper, had no windows, only a heavy oak door engraved with a peculiar symbol, a circle cleaved by a single jagged line. Elias was not a mere craftsman. He was an artist, an enchanter of time. His clocks did not just tell the hour, they whispered secrets of lives yet lived. It was said that anyone who bought one of Elias's creations would see glimpses of their future, fleeting but vivid, like candlelight on the edge of a storm. One October evening, a stranger arrived in the town. He was tall, his face shrouded by the brim of a weathered hat, and his voice was like gravel tumbling in a dry riverbed. He stepped into Elias's shop, his boots echoing in the silence. "I need a clock," the man said, his words clipped and deliberate. Elias barely looked up from the intricate gears he was assembling. "Everyone does," he replied. Continued, "I need the clock, the one that runs backward." Elias froze. His hands, deft and sure after decades of practice, faltered over a delicate cog. Slowly, he turned to face the stranger. "That clock," Elias said, his voice barely above a whisper, "is not for sale." The stranger smiled, a crooked, unsettling curve. "Everything has a price, clockmaker, even time." Years ago, when Elias was still a young and ambitious apprentice, he had crafted the backward clock, a masterpiece born of arrogance and folly. Its hands moved counterclockwise, unraveling the flow of time for those who dared to gaze upon it. The first and only time Elias had tested it, he saw his own death, a dark alley, a pool of blood, and the glint of a blade. Terrified, he sealed the clock away, vowing never to touch it again. Now, staring into the stranger's shadowed face, Elias felt a chill seep into his bones. "What do you want with it?" Elias asked. The man tilted his head. "There's someone I need to unmeet." Elias hesitated, torn between duty and dread. He knew that tampering with the clock again could unravel more than just a single life. It could unthread reality itself. But there was something in the stranger's eyes, a deep and aching sorrow that made Elias pause. With a heavy sigh, he led the man to the back of the shop, where a door marked with the same jagged circle symbol awaited. Beyond it lay a dim room, and in the center stood the backward clock. Its face gleamed like obsidian, its hands moving in defiant reverse. The man stepped closer, his breath shallow. "Show me how it works," he demanded. Elias hesitated. "Once you start, there's no stopping. You may unmeet, but what will you undo along the way?" "I'll take that risk," the man said, his voice firm. As the man activated the clock, the air grew heavy, vibrating with an unnatural hum. The shop's walls seemed to bend and ripple, as if the fabric of the world were being rewoven. Elias watched as the stranger began to fade, his body unraveling into wisps of shadow and light. Before he disappeared completely, he turned to Elias and whispered, "Thank you, the second chance." And then he was gone. For days after, Elias avoided the clock. But one night, as the town slept under a canopy of stars, he ventured into the back room. The backward clock sat silent, its hands still, as if waiting. Curiosity tugged at him. Had the man succeeded? Or had he undone something far greater than himself? Elias reached out, his fingers trembling, and set the clock in motion once more. The whispers began, soft at first, then rising like a storm. This time, it wasn't his death he saw. It was the town, empty and silent, its streets overgrown with vines, its houses crumbling into dust. And at the heart of it all, Elias stood alone, the backward clock ticking in his hands.